Good morning and welcome to Lydden Hill. So this is what I thought was going to be my first race of the season, but obviously we got out at Castle Combe last time, which was good. I was happy to get out there earlier than expected thanks to the sponsor we had at the time, but it did reveal some braking problems which we have since sorted, which is really good. So we got some new discs at the front and new pads all around. We do still need to try and sort out some not really an upgrade, but just sort out the back of the car a little bit in terms of the brakes. We're not getting the full performance out of it, so a few little changes there which we'll hopefully do over the next coming weeks and hopefully coming weeks. We're racing in the Super Saloons. We're in the bottom class, so I've never been to Lydden Hill as a driver before. I've been here quite a bit as a spectator, lots of rallycross, really enjoyed coming to watch it here, but also some track racing as well. I watched these guys, CMMCS, race a couple of years ago actually. I'm not sure whether it was an official race or not, but I saw them here. So that was good fun, and now I'm racing with them. So we have some paid practice at the start of the day. As I said, I've never driven this track before, even on the games I haven't driven it that much, so I thought that paid practice was essential. You know, obviously it's a bit of extra budget to factor into the weekend, but luckily the CMMCS's sort of entry fees are quite small, so that meant that it kind of worked out quite well. After paid practice we've got qualifying and then 2 races, so let's go. That was actually quite a short turnaround between this practice session and then our qualifying session. I think it was only about half an hour after getting off the track and then back out on the track or down to the assembly area. You know, I'm sure it could be tighter, but for us that's probably the tightest turnaround we've had so far. And unlike a lot of places in the UK, you don't really get the chance to drive Lydden Hill that much. I think they're only allowed to do a very small amount of events over the season, so I guess that's the reason why they created a session at the start of the day, or a couple of sessions, to allow people to get some experience out on track. To be fair, I think a lot of people had driven this one before. Down in the sort of bottom of Kent, it's a bit of an awkward one for a lot of people, so I guess for myself and a few of the others that hadn't driven it before, it was a really good session to have at the start of the day. Obviously nothing in motorsport is cheap, but it seemed like a reasonable deal to get some time out on track before the qualifying, in about 30 minutes time after the end of this session. So you can see rolling to the assembly area here and heading out onto the track. Having never driven this circuit before in real life, I'm going to take you around my first lap of Lydden Hill from my perspective on a slow lap, just to sort of show you what I'm thinking and to sort of show you at a slow pace what the circuit looks like from this camera angle mounted in the bottom of the windscreen. So I had this camera as a backup camera, but unfortunately it didn't really have much battery, so it basically run out after our qualifying session, so that's a great backup camera. Nonetheless, you can just see here through the first couple of corners there's some potential places to overtake here, but it's going to be a very tricky one in the race here. So you can see I'm just getting out of the way with a few of the guys that have driven it before. This is probably one of the key overtaking opportunities here as you go up the hill. Obviously you're braking properly. Maybe the second, third heaviest braking point on this track is down I think that's called the Devil's Elbow, and up to this hairpin up here. So I'm seeing this is a place to overtake here at the hairpin, also the Devil's Elbow back down there, and then possibly down into sort of what I guess you'd call turn 2. They're probably what I'm seeing as the main overtaking opportunities around here. So there is my very first cautious lap of Lydden Hill. The 15 minutes was actually really valuable. Unfortunately we ended up having 2 red flags within our 15 minutes, so I'm not really sure how many laps I actually managed to get in, possibly about 10 flying laps, I'm not too sure. I'm sure it's on TSL timing or something somewhere, but it didn't really feel like much laps out there. But I found that experience very, very valuable going into qualifying, knowing what the track looks like, feeling where the car might be able to go in terms of braking points was a big thing for me, as I said, having not driven here before. But some nice shots as always. Thank you, John, for being there to help us film some really cool shots here. And unfortunately our session was ended by a couple of red flags, but we got some nice footage. I got to know the track a little bit, so all was good from practice. Some very, very valuable track time, even if we didn't really get many laps in. It was important, and thank you for the marshals to directing us all into the right place. Paid practice over and done with. A couple of red flags in there, which is obviously not ideal, but we've got to learn the track. The lap times kept coming down and down, which is good, and we haven't really got much of a turnaround here before we have to get the car out for quali, which is coming up pretty soon. So that was at 9 AM with that paid practice, and we're out for quali pretty soon, so better get ready. But I think that paid practice definitely helped make sure that I go into the qualifying session with a bit more confidence. But yeah, over in general, pretty happy with how the car felt. Brakes all feeling good so far. I always just have to do that just a little bit of, I don't know, paranoia. Anyway, let's go and do qualifying. Who doesn't love some overly dramatic music set to some slow motion footage? It just works perfectly. Regardless, we're looking forward to getting to qualify now. As I've said, that practice at the start of the day was very, very valuable, so heading into that one with a bit more confidence, and on top of that, because the brakes are feeling a lot better as well, that's obviously a massive bonus going into this one. I feel like I can actually sort of push the car closer to what the limits may be. We struggled a lot at Castle Combe with the brakes completely going. Thanks to Mike and Ian, they both came over and sort of helped us out there, bled the brakes, sorted them out. We've still got a little bit to do on rear left brake. I think it needs like a new hanger to be sort of working at full efficiency, but nonetheless we're going to this one with more confidence and hopefully going to be setting a decent lap time. Fully wasn't expecting much here, as I said. Hadn't driven this track before today, but I can't keep using that as the excuse. We're getting more experienced in this car now, so I'm going to show you my fastest lap of Lydden Hill. It still is far from the limit as we're building up to it here, but let me know what you think. I think we're starting to get there with this car. I think I feel like I'm getting a bit more in the zone in these qualifying laps. I think the big thing for me was coming down here to what I guess you'd call as the final corner at Lydden Hill. I was really struggling to just be brave enough on the brakes down here. I think you could brake a lot later than I was braking, being a lot more aggressive through it, but I just wasn't, didn't have it in me to go for it. So heading down here into what I'd call the first couple of corners here, shifting down, and there's just a huge amount of understeer through here. The car goes light and you're putting the car beyond sort of 90 degrees log. It looks a bit silly sometimes in the race, you'll see, especially, and into the braking zone at the Devil's Elbow, throwing it in here, missing the apex a little bit here, and then running a tad wide on the exit. Now, we were getting dinged for track limits absolutely everywhere at Lydden Hill. I think I got 2 or 3 lap times deleted. Somebody in qualifying got, I think, like 6 lap times deleted. It was a little bit of a bit confusing. I think we were getting penalties for touching the white line. So this was my fastest lap. I was a bit lucky. I was being a bit cautious here as well, and I come across the line here. It felt like a decent lap. It was my last lap of the session, and somehow I ended up putting it on class pole, which was kind of crazy to me. I think there were 4 or 5 entrants to the class, but only, I think, 3 people came out in session within our group in class. It was a bit confusing, but nonetheless, I was quite happy with that when I saw it at the end of the day, at the end of the session, and definitely surprised. Very understanding that probably wouldn't have got it if everyone hadn't got their lap times deleted, but I guess that's the way it goes, so not too shabby. There we go, qualifying here at Lydden Hill, and pretty happy with how it went. I mean, I wasn't obviously expecting much considering we're in the Super Saloons, so we're in one of the smaller classes, but overall pretty good. We ended up first out of 3 people in our class, which is quite cool, but quite a lot of lap times are or have been deleted, so we'll see how that goes in the race. Probably I'm not the quickest car in my class, but still looking pretty good for the race, which is coming up soon. And yeah, just generally trying to have a good race in there. There's a couple of cars around my lap time, so that should be good fun. And yeah, just go out there and enjoy it. Let's go. I can't go through this video without saying a massive thank you to all of the donators that pledged a little bit towards the charity campaign that I'm doing this year for racing. I'm going to continue to leave that in the link of the description of these videos, so if you want to donate anything, that'd be massively appreciated. If you donate £5 or over, you're going to get your name on the car, on the roof, as you've seen there, so I think that's a quite cool thing to have at least, and I'll get some more pictures and stuff as the season goes on. But very much appreciated. Thank you to everyone that's donated so far. I think I still need to get some names actually on there, so I appreciate it. If you can keep supporting that, it'd be absolutely fantastic. Already raised £1,000, which is absolutely insane to me, but looking forward to splitting that at the end of the year. Here we are, clambering into the car for the first race of the day. Initially our race was the last one before lunch, but unfortunately there was a big incident in the race before us, so they delayed our race and had it after lunch instead. So that kind of got in my head. I was mentally all prepared for the first race down in the assembly area, and then we were told, no, we're having lunch now, and of course an hour later we're back in the assembly area. So I kind of got in my head a little bit. I can't really use it as an excuse, but the main thing is the driver was alright. They had a big incident, and fair play to the marshals and everyone at Lydden Hill. They did a fantastic job of getting the circuit repaired, ready for this race here. You wouldn't have even noticed there was an incident there. They did a great job at repairing all that. So pulling up here behind some much faster cars, Steve Dan in his Sirocco ahead, Presswell in his impressive what was that, Vectra? Astra to our left-hand side here. I think there was a bit of confusion on the start here. I think everyone was pulling into the wrong side, so we had to do some, lefts and rights and stuff, and we eventually got going again. So, nonetheless, going on a warm-up lap here, something in the Super Saloons that I quite like is a rolling start. We're kind of getting into those with all the Castle Combe stuff, but I need to do some standing start races. I need to get that practice in, so that'll eventually come. Actually, I think we'll have that in the next race. You'll see on this channel we're going to be having a standing start one, so it won't be long before you see that, and I have to deal with that, so it'll be interesting to see what happens there. But nonetheless, here we are. I think I was trying to set some fans, and I thought, nope, just leave it. It was quite hot actually at Linden Hill. I got really sunburned. I didn't even realise it was that hot, but that's the way it goes in the UK, isn't it? Anyway, we're warming up the tyres. So you can see here I've left quite a big gap. Bit of a mistake on my part. I should be a bit closer to Steve Dan's Sirocco in front. I mean, by the time we get to the hairpin, I suppose the gap's closed up a little bit here, but by the time we get round this, you'll see everyone's gone. I don't know really what happened here. I guess they've all got more power than me that they're just sort of using down here, but really just surprised me, and well, the big gap, and it was a bit of a shame that I lost all that time straight away. I mean, I'm not going to be racing with these guys anyway, but I made a bit of a mare of this one. I think all the guys in front kind of just went out the hairpin. I fully wasn't expecting this, and I get absolutely mugged off the start here. Rod Burley and his Escort was always going to be coming through here, but they're my two friends in class, is it D? I don't think it's class D, but yeah, we got Nick in his Fiesta on the inside, and then we've got this really lovely looking Golfer as well. He was in my class. So these two guys are my rivals, I guess you'd say, in class right now. So I was battling with the Golf really through the first part of here. I was trying to look around the outside on this first lap of the race. Didn't really work out here. And up to the hairpin. Am I going to be able to make a move stick? No, because I'm so far behind by the time we get to the braking zone. He definitely has a bit more poke than me, Ken Hunt, in his Golf. But you can see, I don't know what's happening here. The car was sort of hitting the rev limiter through the corner. I'm not exactly sure what was going on here. Whether that distracted me or not, I'm not too sure. I kind of just... so this is annoying watching it back. I sort of panicked a little bit and saw some really fast cars in my mirrors, and I'm just going to sort of stick to the inside here and sort of let them go on my outside, which dropped me right to the back of the field. It's a bit embarrassing on reflection. I shouldn't have done that. This is racing at the end of the day. It's not just sort of lapping around by yourself. Even though they probably are quicker, try and battle with them, especially that Golf. I mean, I know the Sierra Cosworth was going to be much quicker than me, but the Golf, as we'll see later on in this video, shouldn't have done that. Very similar on speed, so I sort of, shouldn't have done that to myself. Regardless, a few laps later, maybe even the next lap later, you can see I've lost a lot of time to the Golf in class, Ken Hunt, and the other Golf, which is a more powerful car, to be fair, the white and blue Golf. We see him overtaking Ken Hunt. Then also we've got the Sierra Cosworth coming down the inside as well. So it's kind of evened out, but at the end of the day, I should have not put myself in this position that I was behind these guys, because I could have stayed ahead of them for sure. And at the front of the field you can sort of see the class of cars we've got in here, some really, really fast cars. I entered the Super Saloons because of some potential upgrades that we want to put on the Civic throughout the season here, and Super Saloons gives that flexibility, whereas the Tin Tops doesn't so much, so that's the reason why we did so. I'm hopefully going to be doing as many CMMCS races as possible, but as I've said already, with work and obviously working at weekends with Formula 1, it makes it really quite tough to put together a coherent schedule. It's going to be chopping and changing as the season goes on, really. So we'll see what we can do. There's some great tracks on its calendar, so aim is to get to as many as possible, as with all the other stuff that I've got planned this year. So now we're really trying to put the pressure on the Golf here, try and get an overtake done. I see I've got better speed out of this corner. I know I don't have the top end speed of him, but I'm trying to look to the inside here and put the brakes on just a little bit later. I think a pretty decent move down the inside here. Then out the corner, I was all about looking in my mirrors, making sure he doesn't fire it up the inside again, so heavily defend the inside line, fully realising that this is going to compromise me quite a bit on the exit. So go through here in third gear. On reflection, possibly should have started using second through here. We were quite slow on the exit, but that's the problem with this one. It's really an awkward change down to second gear in this car for whatever reason. I don't know. I've always found that tricky. But now my next target was in my sights here to try and close down the Golf in front here. I think this had a 3.2 litre engine. I think actually both of these Golfs had a 3.2 litre engine. Also being wary that in our mirrors were some very quick cars here. Rod Burley flying through. Got this Mackenzie BMW, which was fantastic as well. But my eyes were fully set in front here on the blue and white Golf here. We'd given him up quite a bit of a gap at the start of the day, so I was trying to trying to get back to him, but that gap was quite big. I wasn't sure within myself whether I could get it. And these guys coming through the field here, I mean, it's quite a short lap at Lyddon, and Rob Burley's got quite a bit of a pace advantage on all of us, so he was flying through quite quickly, even though he started at the back of the grid. I saw them coming through, and I saw the Golf go wide, sort of let them through, and I thought, oh, here's an opportunity here. He might be looking in his mirrors quite a bit, so I thought maybe if I can distract him, possibly I can get to the back of him and get an overtake in. But I'm going to leave you for a lap here, see what you think as we try and close up to the back of this Golf. Through certain corners I really felt like I was getting there. I was actually understanding where the car was getting to the limit, but I think a couple of the other ones, including the final corner, I couldn't wrap my head around where the braking point really properly is. This corner here, the Devil's Elbow, I think that's what it's called, I was pretty confident with. I was hitting the ABS there a few times, which kind of felt, okay, we're getting towards the limit of the braking in this car and these tyres, etc. So I was quite happy about that. But up here also, I felt like I was closing in, but down the hill and into this final corner, this, on reflection, was my Achilles heel. I just couldn't bring myself to braking as late as I know this car could through here. I think quite cautious of the curb on the inside and the gravel on the outside. It was just making me back off more than I should have. But nonetheless, it was a really, really good battle throughout the rest of this race. I was happy that, well, I was not happy to let him get so much of a lead, but I was happy to be able to close down that lead once that lead was at its biggest, of probably like 3 or 4 seconds. But it's a nice confidence thing to be able to close up to someone. Obviously a shame that I couldn't do that last bit and get the overtake in, but it felt like a decent race from me. I mean, unfortunately the start was my big problem again, but nonetheless, I'm happy to say that throughout the race it definitely felt like I was doing better. Something I did notice throughout this race though is I think I've slightly knocked out the toe again, which is annoying. Maybe it's just something that these cars do, I don't know, but just struggled to keep the car in a straight line with it. Obviously knocked it out a few degrees, which is it's a bit annoying, but it's something that thankfully can be quite simple to fix. You can see through there, as I said already, I think I just find closing up through here and up to the top hairpin, I'm definitely quicker through this part of the track, but I can't get close enough through the rest of it to be able to make that move into the Devil's Elbow on this particular Golf at least. He's doing a good job at defending. I think I am down on power in comparison to him. Possibly I have a bit more grip. I'm not too sure what tyres he's on. But it's just that poke at the end of the straights which is just getting me. You can see here just pulling away by a few attempts here and there. And he's just able to do it. Just able to pull away enough. I'm going to have nightmares about this Golf. He just managed to stay just in front of me for the whole of this race. Anyway, it was good fun though. I really enjoyed this first race. It was nice to get that overtake in. I think it's something I've already referenced in this video. It's a tight and twisty track. It's hard to overtake, so doing what I did at the start and sort of let off and let the guys through was just not the wisest decision. I mean, I think I'm just a bit too cautious. I'm very, very cautious on these starts. I think maybe just getting a little bit too in my head there about what could happen, and sometimes you just got to drive it naturally, and then that will be a little bit better than maybe doing slightly strange and getting out of people's way, which is obviously not the natural thing to do really on a race start on the first couple of laps. But I could feel this was the last lap of the race here. I could see Rod in my mirrors also coming up behind me to lap me, so I was a little bit cautious about that. You can see I realised at this point I wasn't going to be able to get the overtake in on Bennett in his Golf, so I let Rod through here. He lapped me on the final corner of this last lap, which was a bit of a shame, but it is what it is, and we come across the line to finish the race, which I was quite happy about. It was good fun. Unfortunately though, something I do have to mention here was I didn't realise this until after the race, that the driver who won our class, Nick, he ended up having I think 45 seconds worth of time penalties. So if I hadn't got lapped on the last corner, I would have won our class, which is it's the way it goes. It's a rookie error on my part for letting the guys through at the start, but then also maybe not realising it was the last lap, and I suppose I wasn't to know he had penalties, but regardless I maybe should have fought a little bit harder in that one not to get lapped and pushed it a little bit harder throughout the race, so I wasn't in that position, but I wasn't to know. I wanted to bring it home safe, and we brought it home safe in second place in class, which was obviously important. Some lessons I needed to learn in that race there. Obviously getting a decent overtaking on someone relatively similar in performance was one, and also the painful reality of not being so cautious on the start, because it can cost you so much, and ended up costing a class win. Even though I know there's not many people in our class, to say you got a class win is always quite cool, and unfortunately I let that go today. Lydden Hill race 1 is done. Now that was exciting. So it's a bit annoying at the start. I guess I was just overly cautious. There were 2 really quick cars coming through from the back that had issues in quali, so I was just being cautious of that. But I don't know, for some reason out of the hairpin on the warm-up lap, everyone just went in front of me, and I was a bit left hanging there. But I think we finished second in class, which isn't too bad. I'm quite happy with that. I mean, I fully expected not to win because of all the times that were deleted in quali. I was expecting the 2 guys that qualified behind me to actually be quicker. Had a nice battle with one of the Golfs. I couldn't quite get past the other one. You'd see from the footage that I got stuck. Well, not stuck behind it. I just couldn't get past it. I mean, it had a bit more poke at the end of the straights. I think I was slightly quicker mid corner, but I was trying different lines. Just couldn't find a way through. But really enjoyed it. I mean, got a nice overtake in there. I didn't know whether I had it in me to go for it, because the differences between the cars aren't that much. So to make that, so I didn't know whether I had it in myself to go for that overtake once we lost all the positions at the start. But we got one of them, which was nice little overtake down the inside. I wasn't sure whether I had it in me to go on the brakes deep and get the overtake down, but we did it. But I couldn't quite get past the second Golf. But still, it was a lot of fun. Some definite wheel-to-wheel action that I didn't have in the previous events at Castle Combe, which is, I guess, good thing to learn. Some similarly paced cars to be around, which is exciting. There was a red Fiesta, which I think just shot off. It gained so much time early on, and then unfortunately I couldn't keep pace. I think I was about 2 or 3 tenths off my quali time in the race, so I think there was extra time there that I found, but I just couldn't. The lap times were consistent, but I couldn't get past that other Golf, and it, I guess, kind of stopped me from progressing any further. But nonetheless, a lot of fun here. CMMCS with the stickers. Yeah, I think, is it down there? I think the sticker's down there. Should be, at least, unless it's fallen off. Yeah, but nonetheless, looking forward to the second race here. We've got a little while till that happens. We're doing a lot here, so it's a busy day for me. So I'm helping film, produce videos, and got a great friend and cameraman and many things, John, around there doing some work for me. So yeah, it's a busy day. We're keeping on top of it, but race 2 coming up soon. Just need some more petrol. Hopefully Dad will find that soon.
I hear the talking, I just keep quiet. Learn to speak silent, don't yearn for violence. Was a little man, I turned into a giant. I changed the climate, every room that I'm in. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the baddest of them all? Popping like I'm Adderall, bouncing like a basketball. Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the baddest of them all? Popping like I'm Adderall.
Okay, I realise this is getting overly dramatic. It's only a club event, don't get carried away, Alex. I got this footage, I've got to use it somehow. I'm sorry. Are you not hyped for race 2? Have they not done it for you? I don't know. Regardless, time for race 2, our final session of the day here at Lydden Hill. Quite a tight turnaround in the whole day in general, and with the sort of mix-up at lunch about when we were actually going out on track, there wasn't really much time to sort of rest. We were sort of preparing or in the car for the whole day. I mean, I guess that's generally how it works, but sometimes you end up having like a 2 or 3 hour break in the middle, but that hasn't been the case today. A very busy one for us at Lydden Hill, but that's kind of how you want it, especially with all that's been going on over the last few years. It's nice to be busy and out on track. So, where am I starting? Not quite last. I think there are a couple of cars behind me. A couple of cars didn't make it out for the second race of the day, which was a shame. So you can see directly in front of us is our competition here. Nick in his Ford Fiesta. We obviously wanted to try and beat him here in the second race. So he said himself that that car's relatively new. He sort of got it quite cheap. I can't remember if he said on eBay Auto Trader, but he got it pretty cheap, put a cage in it, you know, didn't do too much to it. It's got some slick tyres, but he's also quite experienced in front wheel drive, which kind of made me feel a little bit better, because I felt like in that first race I should have been a little bit closer to him. I think I've got a little bit more top end than he does in that car. He might have a little bit more speed through the corners with those tyres, but I mean, it really should be pretty similar, so I think it's all down to driver, and in saying so, that means that he's the better driver, which is obviously quite understandable. So in the second race, I was, you know, in my head I was like, don't mess up the start like you did in the last one, Alex, here. So I think I did a better job of it. There was a bit of backing up in front, which I think confused a couple of us guys at the back of the grid. Unfortunately, the Ken Hunt Golf got a fantastic start on the inside here, using the extra horsepower to good use. He got down the inside of me, and I think that puts me to one of the back cars once again. This time though, I was determined to not let him get away with it on lap 1 so easily, but unfortunately Presswell in his Astra here, I'm not exactly sure what was going on in this first lap of the race here. I didn't want to get right up behind him in case his engine was blowing up or something. I didn't want to get oil all over the front of my car. But yeah, so we tried to get the overtake here on the first lap of the race on Ken Hunt, but got a bad exit out of this corner. He uses extra power down this straight, or up the straight I should say, and he stays ahead of me into the hairpin of lap 1 here at Linden Hill. And already I could start to see these cars in front get away, and I was like, Alex, you've done it again, you've messed up this start. Well done. But at least I have the experience now of what to do in this scenario. I kind of have a better idea about where the overtakes can stick. So through the last corner, we're closing in on Ken Hunt, but he also uses that little bit of power down to the first corner that makes sure that I'm not close enough. But I think I'm a substantial amount later on the brakes here, and whatever happens through here, I'm not too sure, but I can put the power on a lot better here. And you see, maybe having to lift off here. I don't want to run into the back of him here. I didn't think I was going to be able to make an overtake here, but I thought I'm close enough. I want to go down the inside here. So it was a little bit later on the brakes, a little bit closer of a move than it was in the last race there, but we get the move done down the inside. A better run than we did in the first race here, up to the hairpin, but you can see I've already let this gap in front build up to about 3 or 4 seconds, so I'm determined to not let that get any bigger and try and close down the class win. I know that's ambitious. In that first race of the day, my fastest lap was about 7 or 8 tenths, I think, slower than Nick's in his Fiesta, so it was pretty unlikely that I was going to be able to close down the gap to him, but I was determined. I wanted to try and make that gap as small as possible and try and get him on the second race of the day. I mean, it looked unlikely. I mean, I said I was faster in quali, but that's probably down to him getting lap times deleted. Now, Ford Sierra Cosworth unfortunately having some issues there, so we get past him. And I think this gap was starting to come down here at the start of this race. It looked like the gap was not quite as large as it was on the opening couple of laps. We've managed to bring it out a little bit, not by much, but a little bit. So that was good to see for me, at least. I felt like a little bit of confidence there that I started to close in on these guys. I think they were slightly battling for a few laps, so that probably helped me out in reality. But still, it's nice to have that little bit of confidence that you're not miles and miles off the pace of the class lead here. And I saw him in his Fiesta up there, Nick. He wasn't pulling away like crazy. I think in terms of lap times, fastest lap times, there was only 1/10 of a second in it in the second race of the day. But I think maybe in terms of consistency, he was able to do it a little bit better than me. I mean, I thought my lap times were consistent, but his times obviously were even more consistent than that. My lap time in this race was actually my fastest of the weekend, which was nice to see. Quite a substantial amount down from qualifying, but we'll speak about that a little bit later on. But I was definitely starting to close up to Bennett here in the Golf, which was a nice feeling. I think he's actually a track worker at Linden, so he's got a lot of experience around here at Linden Hill. Maybe not in a race car, but a lot of laps in maybe a tractor or a JCB. I mean, I'm sure they all count, right? I'm honest to myself, the races we've done at Castle Combe so far, we haven't really been battling with too many people. With that nice battle with the Ferrari for a few laps last time out, but then I did the old half spin. But here at Linden Hill today, we've got some nice racing, some similarly paced cars, and it would have been the same in tin tops as well. I'd have had a couple of people to race against, so either category I've ended up in, today it's ended up with good racing, which is the main thing. So had some really nice stuff here with Bennett. Now I really was trying to put the pressure on here, try and look for an overtake down the inside. I spoke to Marcus Bicknell, who races his Saxo, and he was like, just go for an overtake, Alex. So here I sort of put my nose up the inside here. It compromised me on the exit, but I guess I kind of wanted to just let him know that I'm here. I'm willing to go for an overtake if I can get close enough after one of the exits of the corners. So I was trying a bit more than I was in the first race of the day. I think the first race I was thinking so much about getting back into it after messing up the start completely, and then the second race was about, okay, focus Alex, get your eyes forward and try and get some more overtakes done. I was happy about getting the overtake on Ken Hunt so quickly, and then this latter part of the race it was trying to chase down these guys and maybe even take a class victory if it's within our reach. But that wasn't really within our reach with, you can see here, Nick's sort of driving up the road in his Fiesta whilst I'm trying to get my way past Mr. Bennett in his Golf. Of course, I mean, he's in an invitational class, he's not really racing us in class, but the thing is in club racing, the classes don't really mean so much. You just want to have a battle with someone, you're paying the same entry fee as everyone else, so why would you not enjoy a battle unless the class difference was so clear. As in the first race, keeping those eyes in the mirrors for the faster cars coming through. Rod Burley, I think, had already lapped us at this point, so I was getting out the way of the Mackenzie BMW, which just looks absolutely insane. It's cool to be in the same races as these guys. I realise the performance difference is quite a bit. Linden Hill is probably one of the tracks where the performance difference doesn't make so much of an impact on the racing. The lap times, like between the top and the bottom, I think it was only about 5 seconds still, and 2 of those seconds between Rob Burley and second place. I can definitely say I've shared the grid in my races so far with some pretty special machinery. You know, we've got the Ferraris and stuff like last time out, some really insane stuff at Castle Combe. And then here today, I mean, Rod Burley in that Ford Escort WRC, it's one of the most iconic cars in club motorsport, maybe even UK motorsport in general. He's won so many races in that car. It's pretty special. I mean, I don't know how many he's going to end up winning. I mean, if you don't know, Rod Burley's won the most races ever in the United Kingdom. I think it's like 6 or 700 wins. It's absolutely insane. He's go check it out on his website. There's a whole list on there, really well displayed, all of his achievements in motorsport. But I'm going to leave you on board with myself here for a lap or so, trying to get past Bennett in his VW Golf. We get close, but can we get the overtake done? I can say that's probably the closest I managed to get getting the overtake in. Nearly. I tried to sort of put the move to the inside. I think he slightly outbraked himself going to the top hairpin, but still he had enough traction out of the corner to get it all done. So that's what it is. I'm going to, as I've said already, have maybe nightmares about the back of this Volkswagen Golf. I saw it so much throughout this race, just couldn't get rid of it, or couldn't get past it. And fair play, because he drove a really good race, and I couldn't get past. I mean, there were performance differences here. I couldn't do anything about it. I couldn't find those extra few tenths in myself to get onto the back of him in the corners where I could overtake. I mean, I was just losing out maybe too much through this part of the track, down from the hairpin through the last corner. If I was closer through here, I'd be closer through these corners up here, which would put me closer at the Devil's Elbow, which would hopefully put me in a position to get the overtake in. But I just lost so much time through that, the part of the track where you need a bit of power and a bit more bravery, which I didn't have. And unfortunately for us, that just meant that it wasn't ever quite close enough. So this last lap of the race here, giving it my all to try and go for one last overtake here on Bennett in his Golf, but unfortunately for me, just wasn't able to find those last few attempts to get the overtake in. It was close and a really good battle. I mean, I'm sure some people would prefer side-to-side battling all the time, but I didn't quite have it in me to get alongside and at least try that. So it is what it is, but a really fun race, and the chase down a car like that is really quite cool as well. I mean, it's a really nice looking car, so that has its benefits. Oh well, good fun regardless. What an event this has been. It's been a busy one. The car's been on track for at least an hour. We had that thing at lunch where we went to the assembly area, and then there was a big crash in the race before, so they decided that no, we're going to have the lunch now, and then we'll do your session later. But regardless, it's been a really good day. I don't think I can be like super proud of like the lap time or anything. I think I could have definitely done a lot better there. But saying that, in the second race, the lap time came down by about a second, which was nice. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. It's nice to see an improvement. Race 2 was my quickest session of the day. An interesting one about the first race, which I don't think I have mentioned yet, is that the guy who won our class, quite convincingly to be fair, ended up getting quite a few like track limit penalties. But annoyingly, as you would have seen, because I got lapped at the final corner, it meant that he ended up a lap ahead of me, so whatever amount of penalties he had, I couldn't have finished ahead of him. I think it's something like that, but it doesn't matter. We can come home with 2 pretty good results, I'd say, in terms of me personally driving better through both races, finding the limit, or at least finding a bit closer to the limit. I won't say finding the limit yet. I definitely think that this old Civic would have probably got at least a second or 2 more with a better driver in there, but overall I'm happy with how the day went, and we actually ended up getting 2 second place trophies, which is kind of cool. I don't think fully deserved, but you know, I guess I can be happy with that. It's nice, a nice memento from the weekend here at Lydden Hill, a track that I've been to for the last 15 years when possible, as a fan of rallycross, as a fan of motorsport, and cool to finally race here. Getting a class podium was pretty much inevitable. There was only 3 starters, I think 4 or 5 entries, but 3 starters in the class. It was pretty inevitable to get a podium, but yeah, I think it's pretty evident from this, and probably from Castle Combe as well, that I need to sort out these starts. I don't know whether it's just rolling starts or what, I don't know. The second one was definitely better, but I need to sort out these rolling starts, because there will hopefully become a time when that's more important. Right now, obviously, not so important, because I'm not really battling with many people, but gotta say, the Fiesta that won my class was driven beautifully as well, and just had like a pretty decent setup on it. I was just speaking to him, and yeah, I mean, he just drove away really. I think maybe on some laps I was able to match him, but over a race distance he definitely had the better consistency and just general skill. So yeah, definitely something to improve on. I think that Fiesta obviously didn't have quite the grunt of my car in terms of horsepower, but it probably has a bit of a better setup on it, and definitely a better driver.
So as the sunset at Lydden Hill, I think reality is it was actually a pretty good weekend. We met up with some old friends at the CMMCS, and we're going to be helping them throughout the whole year with some video stuff, which is quite cool. And in general, the car was running better after our struggles last time out, so that was nice to get some confidence in time for the next race, which is coming up very soon. And then also, just in general, enjoying ourselves, having some good battles out on track. Just happy in general with how the weekend went, and just really looking forward to the next one now. Of course, if you look at the results, not winning after getting a pole in class would generally be a bit of a disappointment, but I think the reality was Nick was much better in his Fiesta today, so big props to him. Drove some great races, and I can still be happy with myself.
So, Lydden Hill, tick. Brand new track, tick. Obviously beforehand I'd only driven Castle Combe in anger in terms of racing stuff, so it's good to get a new track all done, all sorted. It's empty now. We're one of the last ones to leave, which yeah, I guess is because we're taking it at our own pace. You don't need to rush home or anything, which is nice. But yeah, in general, a really good day. Thank you to everyone really. Some obviously key notable people are my dad, who's doing all the sort of checking of the car and stuff over, which is obviously really appreciated. Obviously John, who's doing loads of camera work and live streaming and stuff. It's been a busy day, so massive thanks to both of them for being here, and just all of the people at CMMCS really. It's a great little community, and obviously there's these restrictions in place, but people are really helpful, people are chatting away, and it's just a great community to be a part of. So really happy to have done my first event in my car with them, and hopefully more to come. Their next event's at Brantats GP, which is an insane circuit, which I'd really like to do, but budget, it's on the edge. I don't know really exactly what we're doing there. Might do it, might not. Definitely be there filming if not, so I'm looking forward to that one. But it's busy the next few weeks anyway, because we're going to be going back to Castle Combe, as I said earlier on in the video. Definitely going to be doing a race, assuming the car is all good and don't have to withdraw later on. And yeah, we're doing a couple of races hopefully there. As I said, I'm not 100% decided what yet, but we'll be there, which is great. And with a bit more experience, a bit more confidence in the brakes after the worries of the last event, I can hopefully enjoy that one a little bit more than last time, because last time was not so great. You've seen the video, you know. But yeah, looking forward to getting home now, sort of debriefing, and it's quite cool because of the amount of entries in my class. I managed to get 2 second place trophies, which is cool. Time to go home. I've spoken long enough. It's been a great weekend, I really enjoyed it, and I've learnt a new track, kind of, which is nice. But we're back to Castle Combe next week, so trying to put all of that experience in a good place and try and get some decent results. We'll see. Anyway, thank you for watching, and goodbye.